And I did have that stereotype that I was centered towards a certain kind of individual, and then I took it and I realized how interesting it was. And so with psychology, I wanted to focus on gender studies and human sexuality because I found it very interesting and how it translates back to culture and society. I grew up in a very small town outside of Des Moines, and there was when you're in a small town, I feel like there's not very much diversity. So if you have, let's say, one gay man, that guy gets a lot of attention. So I can only think of one guy that actually came out in high school, which is very brave to do because in a small town you get like targeted for that, or if you are somehow outside of a gender normative personality. I feel I've always been a very open-minded person in that regard, so like thanks to the kind of family I was brought up in, and I've always been told to look at different perspectives, and I feel like with psychology and gender studies and human sexuality, you're forced to look at people outside of a cultural spectrum, and and you don't just see them for their sexuality or just for their ethnicity, you see everything and how it correlates back to each other. I also did the slut walk a couple of times, which I found really interesting. I wish I was that brave to wear they were wearing and walk around town. But that was really interesting, and I think it's important to bring awareness to sexual assault, especially with such a big campus. A lot of these organizations, I think you can find out through GWSS studies, because a lot of them you couldn't find out just like on campus. You kind of have to be in a class that's centered around that idea. But I think when you bring certain things to light that you never really thought about, like intersectionality was something I never really thought about until like we was talking, you're like, oh, that makes like a lot of sense. I never thought of it that way, and like it's so complex that you can't just take it from face value. I thought I was very open-minded until I took class, and I was like, there's so many levels of this that you don't hear about or get into a regular education. So that's how it's really impacted my life.